Well, hello there. It's a new day, new t-shirt, JurgsCup3, don't forget, and welcome to my workshop. I'm back doing these tellies, and I think I owe you an explanation. Now, in the last episode, I was talking about the necks, and I was talking about scarf joints and the headstock. And of course, if you know your Telecaster, you'll know that there is no scarf joint on a Telecaster, not a Fender Telecaster. But I do love putting scarf joints and tilting that headstock back. I think it looks so much better. So this is going to be I don't know, a Telecaster, a Telecaster, perhaps, I don't know. But let me explain what I'm trying to achieve. Now, a conventional Telecaster will have the neck and the headstock made out of a single piece of wood. Now, this isn't a Telecaster neck, but it'll do to demonstrate that. So the idea is that, it's cut out of a block of wood. The headstock is shaved back a bit, and usually there are a couple of string trees to keep the strings down, I think, on these two tuning pegs. Now, I'll be perfectly honest with you, I don't really like this for a couple of reasons. One is I do like the look of a headstock slanting back, and this is my scrap caster, so it's not the best example, but I just love that subtle fold back of the headstock. I think it looks really nice. The other point is, in order to create this, you've got to cut it from quite a thick piece of wood, and I think there's a bit of wastage there. And I think it's much better, in my opinion, to treat the neck and the headstock separately. I can cut the neck much thinner and not waste any wood, and B, I've got the ability to shape the headstock separately. I find it very difficult when I'm trying to shape the headstock when it's actually stuck on the end of the neck. So it just allows me to have more control over it. In the last video, I was explaining my unconventional approach to scarf joints. Now, in this diagram, the neck is represented by this block here, so that would be the neck. The headstock is represented by this angled line here, so it's a 10-degree angle. So basically I cut the end of this neck to 10 degrees, and then I stick the headstock on, and then I trim that piece off. And to demonstrate that, I've created this little mock-up here. So here we have the neck coming in with the fretboard on the top, the nut, and then the headstock going off down there at an angle, and you can see where the join is. And when you use two woods the same colour, obviously, you really don't see that join. And I think it's the easiest way to do the scarf joints. But again, the more conventional way would be to, yes, cut that slope on the block of wood for your neck, but take the bit that you've cut off, obviously you've got to make it longer, and use that as the headstock. So you create the angle like that, and you've got that flat on the top already. Obviously what you need to do then is stick wings on the sides of this wood to create the shape of the headstock. But as I explained earlier, once you've done that, you've then got to try and trim that shape while you've got all the neck on it as well, and I like to keep it all separate, and I'm not so keen on gluing on wings, if I'm honest with you. So yeah, they're the sort of couple of different approaches. Of course, with all these things, it's horses for courses, whatever you prefer to do and whatever you find easiest. Anyway, let's get on. Now, the other day I made myself a little jig for marking this slope on the end of the neck. So this is now set to 10 degrees, but it will also move to 14 degrees depending on what guitar I'm making. So basically, this piece here is the thickness of the headstock. So all I need to do is to move this back until it breaks through the neck at the back of the headstock. and that's about there. Now I'll mark a line there, but the most important line is the line at the back here, because this is the line that I'm going to cut to. Now to help me make that cut, I've got this block set to 10 degrees, and I've got some masking tape and double-sided tape to stick that onto there. Give it a good squeeze. Right, now we take it over to the bandsaw. Now I've set the distance by eye. I want the blade to cut just above the line, then I can plane it down to the line, and it looks about right there. So let's give it a go. Now to give me a guideline on the other side as well, I made a mirror image of my little jig, which can go on the other side, and I can draw a line now from that line down. Unfortunately, the piece of wood I made wasn't long enough, but gives me an idea where to go. Really, that's because the bandsaw hasn't cut it absolutely, well, square, I suppose is the way to look at it. Yeah, but I've got a line now to work to. This is a bit of a departure from what I intended to do. I was going to trim the neck down, then I was going to stick this on, but in actual fact I've decided it's probably going to be easier to stick it on first and then do all the trimming. So I've got myself a mirror here so I can see the centre lines line up at the bottom there, and I've got marks on for the nut position, and I've got a centre line there. So I'm going to just glue this on, and let's see how we go. I'm doing the Sapele guitar first because I've got spare Sapele in case anything goes wrong, but I think this is looking pretty good so far. Do you know those days where you're trying your best you end up cocking it all up. I've spent a couple of hours fussing over this neck, measuring it all up, making sure the nut's in the right place and the angles are right and all that sort of stuff, and I was gluing it up, and I've just realised that I've forgotten that I need to leave the light wood on the bottom of the neck. So I've got this beautiful joint here, and I'm looking at it in the mirror, I'm thinking, why can't I see the white lines there? Because you silly what's it, you put it up the wrong way. And you know what? I don't think I can rescue this neck, because yeah, it's not long enough to cut another angle on the other side. So I think I'm gonna have to start from scratch. Fortunately, I've got a big slab of walnut, so all is not lost. I should be able to make another one, but I'll do that off camera and not put you through it all. What I will do, I will glue this neck up. I can't do anything about it, but I may be able to use it for a guitar for myself. And yeah, as a reminder of the cock up that I've made. Never mind. Well, I tell you what, Dave moments don't get better than that. And yeah, don't mean to infer that all Daves are the same, but this Dave certainly has a lot of moments. Anyway, what I'm going to do, you know, is treat myself to a nice piece of light wood veneer, so that when I do this again, I haven't got to worry about it and fiddle around which side's up and which side's down. Anyway, I'll leave that to cure. Well, it's a new day and I've been back in the workshop making some dust, and I've cut myself out 2 new pieces of walnut ready to make the neck again. I've ordered some veneer, so I'm waiting for that to come, and I've also got to decide what wood I put down the middle, because I've got no more of the Zebrano, so it'll be a different wood. Never mind. Now then, I had a really interesting comment about my approach to scarf joints, and it got me thinking. Now, a gentleman commented that what I should be doing is letting the neck go further up the back of the headstock, because the way I'm doing it is leaving only a very thin piece of wood from the neck under the nut. Let me show you. Now, the way I've done the neck headstock joint at the moment, I've placed the nut over a very thin part of the neck. And the gentleman was suggesting that this is creating a weak point, and what I should do is move the neck further up inside the headstock. Now, that does cause a potential problem in that you've got the tuners, and the neck can interfere with the tuners if you're not careful. But I've drawn a line on here which represents where it's going to be cut off. And you can see that at no point does that joint go thinner than the neck itself. So I'm just wondering whether it actually does create a weakness, if there is any difference if I move it further this way. So I've done some drawings. In this drawing I've considered 2 sort of scenarios. So the first is to move the neck a little bit further up, so hopefully it's just clear of this tuner. And the second one is to move it right up, but unfortunately then it starts to interfere with these tuners. Now, the position I've got at the moment, as you can see, is the distance between where the nut is and where this neck joins the headstock is very small. It's probably about 30 mil. So if we go down here, if I increase that to 55 mil, I do get a little bit thicker neck underneath the nut. If I increase it to 96 mil, then the nut is effectively positioned where the headstock breaks through. But this, as you can see, creates this problem where the neck effectively is going to interfere with the tuners, unless I create a volute which finishes earlier. And I'm really not so keen on that. I do like the sort of Les Paul stroke PRS style of headstock joint, where you know, it doesn't really, there's no volute there, it just sort of blends in. And I know potentially that's a weak area, but I mean, this is a guitar that I've made, and I have dropped it, and I tell you, it wasn't the headstock that broke, the whole neck broke off. So I think I'm okay with the approach that I've taken. Well, I hope I've explained that as clearly as I can, and I really would be interested in hearing your comments on this. I'm really grateful for the gentleman's comment, and I sort of can see the logic of it, but I think the joint that I've created here is probably going to be just as strong as a joint with the neck further up inside the headstock, unless of course I carved out a volute on the thicker piece of the joint there. But yeah, interesting one, this one. Thank you for your comments. I always take them seriously, and I'm really interested to hear. Now, in a desperate attempt not to have any more mistakes in this project, I've drawn myself up a full-size plan of the guitar body, and I'm particularly interested in the amount of space that I've got internally. Now, it's 34mm between the underside of the top and the top of the bottom, that gap there. And I want to put these push-pull pots in. And so it doesn't leave much room to get them in, because there's no control plates on this guitar. Everything's going to have to go through the pickup holes or the jack socket. Now then, in order to test this, I've made myself a little model, and that's 34mm, that gap there. And here is a pot with some string on. The idea is, will I be able to pull the pot through? Now, I'm not too worried about the string, because I should be able to get that through. So you imagine I've poked this in through the pickup hole, and I just want to see, can I pull it through? Normally I leave this right until the last minute, and then realise, oh, you see, I'm pushing it underneath and I can't do that. So, right, this is how I'll have to do it. Can I get that through? Now then, I think I can. It's not easy. Right, I'm going to use a thinner pair of pliers. So here we go. Come on, come on. Oh, look at that. Oh yes, yes, I've done it. Magic. Well, I've got the plan here. Let me just take you through the internal design of this guitar. I've learnt from making my hollow body bass guitar and another hollow body 6-string guitar that I need to put strengtheners inside the guitar. With the hollow body bass, I actually created a block at the front because I'd got the horns, and it was very difficult to bend the ribs round the shape of all the horns. But it also gave strength to the neck joint, and that's really was the key for that. In this guitar, what I want to do is to put a block at the front, but I want to put the ribs all the way around the outside, so you will never see this block. It'll be hidden inside. There's also going to be a block at the back, which is to support the strap button there, and it just gives a bit of strength to the whole shape of it, keeps the shape of the guitar. And joining the two is this piece of 20mm wide and 10mm deep wood, basically joins the back to the front. Now then, I've got some what's that, maple, which will be ideal for the back there, and I've got some of this cherry, which will do the front. It's a bit of a new technique for me. I've not tried bending the ribs round the block at the front before, and certainly that lower horn is going to be a bit of a challenge. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. The bending the wood part for me is one of the most exciting parts of building. Right, well, I'm running out of time this week, so I'm going to have to call it a day for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I apologise for my rather big mistake in the middle there, and for all the talk about headstocks. Hope I didn't bore you too much, but it's all part of guitar building, isn't it? And I like to show all the mistakes as well as the successes because, well, that's life, isn't it? Anyway, I'll see you in the next one. In the meantime, stay safe. Cheers.